Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Eli Q from Compass Real Estate and the Q and U Real Estate team. Welcome to the show.
Pat, thank you so much for having me over, man.
Great.
It's great.
Great. Okay, so I always start off the show by asking, how did you get started in real estate? Tell me your story.
So I got started in 2009. As I was going to college, and by the way, I'm an immigrant, so I moved here when I was 13.
Okay.
So I started working at a very young age. So I put myself through school. I worked in hospitality industry for a while, and I always knew I was going to be in business. And real estate wasn't really my calling at that time. I didn't know I was going to be in the real estate industry, but I knew I was going to be in business. And so I started investing in real estate, and that's what opened the door to me. And then people that I knew, just made it a lot easier for me to get into it, right? So I started my journey, and then I just found a passion for it. I realized that real estate is a business, and after so many years of selling and investing and developing properties, flipping properties on my own, I decided to start a team.
Okay, great. So now, about 15 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Now that's when you started in development?
So I started as a realtor, yeah. So
Okay.
a year prior to that, I started investing in real estate, and then I just got into it because I thought would be a great way to do both, right? So find
Right.
deals and help some people as well.
Perfect.
So
Okay, so now, when you first started, who were you with?
when I first started, and I remember this day, I started with Coldwell Banker Preferred in Old City, and I was very young, and Dan Janetto, who's a friend of mine now, he actually interviewed me. Noah Ostroff was my mentor at that time.
Okay.
And he said to me, he's like, Eli, we get guys like you all the time. They dress nice, they look good. I gotta tell you, they don't last, they don't make it. Like, why are you any different? And it was like, for me, I never had anyone ask me that question, because I was like, what do you mean? I'm just gonna work my ass off, right?
Right.
But yeah, I remember that. So I started with them, and from there, about 6 months or so in, I moved to Fox and Roach, Prudential at that time. Turned Berkshire Hathaway later, and then when Compass came here, we were one of the first teams to join. So
Okay, and then how long have you been with Compass?
I'm gonna say 6 or 7 years now.
Okay, so
yeah,
a while. Great.
yeah.
Okay, so now when you started as an agent, you were still doing real estate development. What or when did you say, I want to put a team together? What was the inspiration? What was the thought process behind that? And when did that happen?
So I think for a while I had agents that were coming to me, just wanted to say, hey, I want to learn from you. I want to join you. At that time, I didn't have a team structure, so I would have agents that would say, oh, like I always thought it was a great way for me to give back, because I've learned from other mentors as well. And they would just sit with me at the office all the time, watch me work, and they would drive in the car with me, go on
Right.
appointments, do properties,
Right.
site inspections, and you name it. That's how they were learning. But I started finding a passion for it, and once I started getting more into the business side of growing my real estate business, and you start learning how to hire the right people and the right seats, then I really started to enjoy it and got a lot more out of it for helping people. And that's when I decided to say, hey, I'm going to go all in, to scaling a team, to growing a team. And right around the same time, Compass was coming to our market.
Okay.
I knew of Compass because it was part of a group with Berkshire Hathaway. It's a national group called the Rethink Council. So that kind of allowed me for a couple of years to kind of get exposed to all the national markets, and get exposed to what's happening outside of just our own local market. And I grew from that. I learned a lot, and that's how I picked up and I learned what Compass is and what they do. So when they were coming here, it just felt like a no-brainer
Okay.
for me.
Now, right now, approximately how many people do you have on your team?
I think right now we're about 32 agents, and we're onboarding 3 others this week, so it's going to be 35. So
Okay, I'm gonna have a bunch of questions for that as well. Okay, so when you went to Compass, how many people were on your team at that time? About 6, 7 years ago.
I want to say Five?
Five?
Five
Okay.
people, yeah.
Okay. Now, your day, you have 30-ish agents. So what does your day look like? Because you're still selling, right?
I'm not selling as much day to
Okay.
day anymore, right? I work with a lot of investors and clients, developers that way, just kind of helping them, making sure we sell their products. Um, but I'm not working with clients as I used to.
Right. You can't. There's
I'm
just not enough
not,
time.
yeah, it's not. I would say like I'm out of production, but it's like one of those things where when you operate on the team level at my size, because it's still small, right?
Right.
It's not a big team. Um, you still need to have a pulse of what's happening with your clients and with the team so you can just, you know, continue to improve that.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, at any given time, somebody has a question, they're giving you a call. So if you have 30 people, constantly asking questions, I mean, it's just a reality of the situation.
yeah,
There's only X amount of time. So it sort of does, make sense. Okay, great. Now let me ask you, we're going to stay on the team a little bit, and then I
sure.
want to get into the development and that kind of stuff with you. Okay, so what are you doing? What is your secret sauce? Why are people gravitating towards you? Because we have a semi-down market on new construction has an uptick, but as far as existing sales, they've been pretty much depressed for the past 2.5 years. If you look at just the volume nationwide. So you guys are growing. You guys are crushing it. I saw your numbers. So what are you doing?
I wouldn't
What's
say
the magic?
that, yeah, I won't say that there is a secret sauce that it's not out there already, right? I think everyone is capable of doing this. I think what makes us different is that it's just really the community that we've created with the people on our team, and just knowing that, we're here working, doing our best because we do care more than anything. We do care about our clients, and we do care about our agents. And I think that once you're clear on that, the rest is just, you have your why right there, right? And from that, the rest is just being able to execute daily. And it's hard right now because, I got into the business in 2009, when it was the hardest time to get into the
Absolutely.
business.
Yeah.
And people would tell me all the time, like, why are you getting into the business? I didn't understand that. I was like, well, I couldn't even understand it. I didn't know how to answer people, so I just did it. Even now, I feel like agents who are just focused on doing the best that they could do, and they're able to pivot to figure out how they can best represent their clients. They're succeeding right now because although there's the rates are higher,
Right.
transactions are down, right? Just like our team, there's other agents out there who are having their best year yet.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I can tell you why most agents come to us, to our team. And I think that, after speaking with a lot of them and just kind of figuring out, it's like, there's only four reasons. One is that they come because outside the community, right? Outside the culture and so on, it's like, they're able to make more money. And by that, it's like, we have enough opportunities for our agents to get them going while they're still building their own personal pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Two is that they have the support. So getting the support that an agent needs, especially in today's environment, the world's moving faster, business moving faster, it's changed. So has real estate. Real estate right now has always been impacted by all the changes that are happening with technology. However, more so right now, more so today than ever.
Right.
And it's hard for an agent to be able to really be able to do all of it on their own. So having the right organizational efficiencies and the team and the support does matter. And we're just so lucky that in our team we have great people that do that, and plus we have the backing of Compass, right?
Okay.
And just the other thing too, I would say, is just being able to have a marketing support process that helps agent build their team. So getting that brand building machine going, I think, is very important for a lot of agents, and being able to deliver there as a team, I think, is very important. And lastly, I want to say would be just the mentoring and the coaching they get from us on the team. And it doesn't matter what level you're in the business. It could be, your first 10 days or 10 years in, you always are going to need mentoring and coaching in order for you to scale to the next level and live a better life. So,
Okay, so you said a bunch of things there that were really good stuff. So when somebody comes on your team, you have training, and do they have a mentor within your group? Like if somebody's newer, or
yeah, if someone's newer, for example, they go through our onboarding process. So we have an onboarding process. At first, it's just like the onboarding process. The way is done in 90 days. But essentially, in the beginning, they get really it's the first 3 days, first week. It's they get immersed to our team culture, everything that we do, right? So they get their system shot basically, because we want them to get into it right away. Right? We want them to feel what it's like to be on the team, right? And from there, once they go through that, they go through our onboarding process and the training, and then we have mentors on the team, which, the agent and the mentor both have to agree to make sure they're a good fit. So they have to choose from, and they have that mentor there in place to help them in addition to all the other support, right? The marketing, the operation director, the managers are there for them, but just to be able to have a mentor that, sometimes just kind of someone that you can talk to, sometimes someone that you can, just ask the question to the answer you already know, or just spitball an idea how you're going to go about, negotiating an offer, for example, on behalf of your client with an agent. I think that's very important for an agent to have that outlet to do that.
And now you have your own marketing person, or
Yeah. So we have a marketing team right now.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to what Compass offers, but I think for us, the team size we're at, how fast we're moving, you need to have a marketing department.
Right.
Yeah.
So then with that, that's all materials for open houses. I mean, you name it. Anything,
Yeah.
social
So
media, the whole.
we have
nine.
exactly. So we have a marketing director, marketing manager. We have coordinators, admins. We have a in-house videographer. We have an in-house video editor. So like you need to have that team in place in order to do what we do.
Perfect. Okay, so very interesting and very good, and then you can see why your team is growing because you have that infrastructure there, the coaching, the guidance, and a lot of people that's what they need. They're talented, but they need direction to get them to that next level, which makes sense. Okay, so you mentioned at the very beginning. Your background was, development, flips, those kind of things. Now, are you working with a lot of developers today, or are you still doing development yourself?
For my personal stuff, I have slowed down. I do about maybe right now 6 to 8 projects a year, just
Okay, so
our
that's a
mine
lot.
personally.
Yeah.
But I used to do more than that. But we do work with a lot of investors, investors who are doing property development. Maybe they're doing like 2 to 6 units a year, and we have some that do 30 a year.
Right.
And even we work with developers with don't want to mention names that you mentioned earlier to me.
Right.
They're doing 200 plus that we're in partnership with them as well.
Okay, great.
So it's a lot of things to look forward, but yeah, we're still doing
Right,
it.
and then that's what drives when you mentioned before that, but until the agents can get up on their own, there's leads or people referrals coming through the door because of all the development that's going on. That's a big help, right?
Exactly. I think my job as a team lead is to be able to go out there and provide opportunities in that scale. It's hard to do when you still are in production yourself fully, right? So you
Right.
have to think about how can you scale your business? How can you help create enough massive opportunities for the team to be able to grow? And for agents, it's right now it's so much noise, so hard to be able to wear all these different hats. You have to be in sales, you have to be a marketer, you have to hold your clients' hands, you have to be a manager, and you name it. And it's hard to do all that at a high level and still be able to work your sphere and build a relationship. So for us, we're creating something that is already there, right? We're just doing it at a high level and we're executing at a high level.
Okay, great. Okay, so now are you doing any leads from like Zillow or any of that kind of stuff? Are you doing
Yeah,
some of
so
that as
we,
well?
we, we do, Zillow is one of our partners. So we do a lot of online lead generation, portal generation like Zillow. So we work with Zillow, we're with Zillow Flex team. We do work with Rocket Homes. We work with, we do our own Google, Facebook, Instagram, lead generation. We work with a ton of other referral partners as well. And for all that to work, you need to have, unfortunately, also need to have another team, right? You need to have an ISA team
Right.
in place as well. And we do that. So the ISA's job is to be able to, basically essentially what they're doing, they're scrubbing the leads, going to making sure that they're connecting people who are looking to transact in the next 1 to 6 months, and they want to talk to an agent, they're ready to talk to an agent. That's what they're essentially doing, right? And hopefully even keeping some of those relationships that are nurtured, they're a little bit cold. And any other leads that are just hot, they're coming in, they usually are going directly to the agents.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this show primarily goes out to agents, although we do have people from overseas, right? Graham, we have people from England, all over the place who actually
That's awesome.
watch the show. But if there was one thing that you could share to, if somebody's thinking about getting into the business or they're in the business and they feel stuck, what would be the one thing or two things, whatever the case may be, that could get them over the top, or not even so much over the top, just one more deal? Because, it may only take one more deal, then one more, and then one more, and then it
Yeah,
snowballs.
you remind me when you said it of Ed Milet, right? He has this quote called "Max Out," but he one of his books I read, he talks about power one more, that you're one more deal away, right?
Right.
Or it's basically one more call away, one more conversation away, one more appointment away from where you want to be in your goal. But if you're stuck, if you're an agent right now that you're feeling stuck, whether you've been in the business 6 months or 6 years and something that's not happening, the answers are not out there. You have the answers already. You know what you need to do. I think that what you need to do is you gotta get in tune with honestly, reconnect with your why. Get real clear on your vision and start believing again why you're doing what you're doing. For me, like the biggest thing for me was to be able to honestly, my why for a long time was because I wanted to take my dad out of work. My mom, I didn't want them to work, right? So
Right.
an immigrant. So that was my biggest why. And then I got married and I had kids,
Right.
so that changes, right? It
Absolutely.
becomes more powerful.
Right.
But I think if you're feeling stuck, first of all, making sure that you're aligned with everything that you're doing, right?
Right.
And then from there, everything else, it's going to be repetition. So this is your discipline of activities you need to do in real estate that, it's just depending where you are in your career that needs to happen, right?
Right. And there's many ways to be successful. There's people who,
Exactly.
get on the phone and call expires. There's people that knock on doors. There's a million different ways. There's some people that are great on social media, TikTok, whatever. So there's many ways to succeed. Exactly. Find your why and find what works for you or what you're passionate about. Because if that all happens, then becomes not work.
I tell all my agents is that this is the best time to be in real estate. And they're always like, why? It's like, well, there's massive opportunities out there. It's a lot easier today for anyone to break into any market than it's ever been. So just utilize the tools that are available to you. And, it's going to be hard to grow a business. And for a lot of agents out there, this is your business.
Right.
You started a business. Right now, you're just in that stage of your business, right? Depending where you are, that you're basically you're paying yourself, and eventually you get to the point where you'll use leverage to trade for your time. But it's your business, and stay focused, learn what you need to do, because the biggest thing that I see for a lot of real estate agents out there is that they're distracted.
Right.
And they're doing too many things at once instead of doing one or two things that work. There's so many of business pillars, lead generation pillars, activities you can do as an agent that will generate business. You just gotta focus. Do
Right.
one or two and do it at a high level. Be the best of it, right? If you do that, then I promise you the results are just like the outcome. They will come.
Okay, so if somebody wants to get a hold of you, know more about your team, or they're thinking about selling, they're thinking about buying, how would they do that?
Well, you can go to any of your favorite channels. If you're on Instagram, which I know a lot of agents are on Instagram, so you can just search me, Agent Eli Q, or you can go to our team website, which is qnuteam.com.
Okay, great. So if you want to get a hold of them, you want to get a hold of his team members, you want to see why they're crushing it, like I said, I saw some numbers. They're pretty impressive. So congratulations on that, especially on the down market. Well, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it. And that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe below. We have great guests coming on, just like Eli. We have many more, always giving some valuable information, giving back. Also, leave a comment. Tell me some show topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.